Hello, welcome to Lockdown Film Club. It's Wayne here, and it's my turn to choose a film for us to watch at some point over the next fortnight. So, just to recap the chain, it started a month ago with Birdland, set on Broadway. No, then Nigel chose, 2 weeks ago, Nigel chose Truffaut's The Last Metro, which is another film set in the world of the theatre, this time in Nazi-occupied France. And I chose, eventually, I tried to do Ill Met by Moonlight, but it was very hard to find on streaming devices, platforms, I mean. So then I went for the love triangle aspect, which features in The Last Metro. And I looked at The Age of Innocence, Scorsese's Age of Innocence, which I was hoping I would like a lot more than I remembered. It turns out I liked it even less than I remembered. Then I tried Mike Nichols' Carnal Knowledge, which is very good. But in the end, I decided to plump for Woody Allen's 1972 film Play It Again, Sam. Well, I say Woody Allen, but it's not actually directed by Woody Allen. So I'm going to, yeah, I've already gone off my notes. So be pleased to hear one-page notes this week after last week, after Birdman's 15-minute intro. This should be a lot shorter, I promise you. So there's three things that are interesting about Play It Again, Sam. One, it's not directed by Woody Allen. It's directed by Herbert Ross, who went on to direct Still Magnolias, The Secret of My Success, My Blue Heaven, those films. It's also the first film that pairs Woody Allen with Diane Keaton, and it also pairs him with the other corner of the love triangle is Tony Roberts, who also stars in a few Woody Allen films. And thirdly, it's set in San Francisco and not New York. So I had always assumed, because this was not directed by Woody Allen, when I first got into Woody Allen as a teenager, I'd always assumed this was his first film because it's not directed by him. And after I did some research into this, is research I did a long time ago when I was first getting into him, just to, in case you think I'm ignorant of my Woody Allen lore. But it's actually it's the third Woody Allen film. So had he directed it, it would have been his third film, is what I'm saying. So before that, his first film, Take the Money and Run, 1969. I mean, when I say first film, I mean the first film he directed. And Bananas, 1971. And Play It Again, Sam, 1972. But like I said, directed by Herbert Ross. And the reason for that is it started life as a stage play on Broadway. And in 1969, it was a big hit on Broadway. Well, I say big hit. It did okay. It ran for 400 odd performances, so it must have been done okay. And the stage version starred Woody Allen, Diane Keaton, and Tony Roberts as well. And that's how Woody Allen met Diane Keaton. She was unknown at the time, and she auditioned for the part, and she got the part, and Woody Allen began his relationship with Diane Keaton. Although it's quite interesting that the films they've made together, by the time they started making films together, their relationship had ended. So, yeah, I just think that's quite interesting. You kind of always assume they were a couple when they did Annie Hall and Play It Again, Sam, but their relationship was over. I think it was just ending around the time of Play It Again, Sam, or they weren't living together anymore, something like that. But anyway, the main part, the bulk of their relationship, can you say that? But the main part of their relationship, the main body of their relationship took place prior to the making of this film. So it was sold to a studio. Woody Allen didn't want to direct it, so it sold to a studio, and the studio tried to get. Actually, let me go back a bit. The reason Woody Allen didn't want to direct it is because he was at that point he was interested in making movies, he says, and not adapting plays. So he'd already done, like I said, he'd already done Bananas and Take the Money and Run, and he just wanted to concentrate on making movies and not adapting his plays. So the studio tried to get Dustin Hoffman to star in it, and also Paula Prentice and Richard Benjamin, who were a real life couple, and they all turned it down. And by the time it got to 1972, Woody Allen was a bit more well known, and the original cast were asked back to make the film. So that's how it came to be made without Woody Allen directing it. He did adapt the screenplay, or adapt the play, write it into a screenplay. And he says, I'm going to read a quote now from my notes. Woody says of the film adaptation, and I won't do the voice. I could do if I wanted to, but I won't. He says, Herb told me that whenever he tried to make changes in the script, he came to realize how tightly the play was constructed, and it was. He had a lot of trouble making changes and couldn't in spots because it was so tightly written. But having said all this, it's not a very good play. It's a serviceable romantic comedy, trivial and amusing, and it plays. It works if you play it in dinner theatre. Dudley Moore played it very successfully in England. And you can see his point. It's not the most profound of Woody Allen's films, but I think it does. I'm just going to carry on because I can't be bothered to start again after I've got really close to the end, and just to stumble and stop. This is already like take 5. And all the early takes come from the introductions where I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, so yes, where was I? Yeah, like I said, it's not the greatest of Woody Allen films, but it's one of the funniest, I think, one of the funniest of the early funny films, and it's just a great reminder of what a great physical comedian, physical comic. Sorry, I'm looking at my cat. Woody Allen was back in the day, and it probably does contain a scene which I've laughed the most hardest at. It's made me laugh the most hard at. A scene I found the most funny in a Woody Allen film, where I actually laughed my head off. It's a scene, I won't spoil it for you, but it's a scene when he's meeting a blind date in his apartment, and it's just a great moment of physical comedy. Some of the sexual politics haven't aged quite as well, and there's one very one exchange between Woody Allen and Diane Keaton which really hasn't aged well at all. I won't say what it is, but you'll know it when it comes up. But it's a minute long, and then you can forget all about it. But it's quite unpleasant. But I guess it must have been in the stage play, and yeah, it's odd to think that that joke played, and there's a fire. Police car going off now on the main streets of Holloway. So I think on that cue, I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you enjoy it. It's just a funny film. And Nigel will be with you in 2 weeks to see where he takes the link from here. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.